It's Aidan O'Brien back with another video, and today I want to talk about how not to sell. I'm going to give you one very simple principle that is an absolute must when it comes to selling, when it comes to negotiating or trying to influence someone to do something. Okay, for many years I've been in sales. You could go back 2006, 2007. Even when I was in the health and fitness industry, I was running gyms, I was selling memberships, I was selling PT sessions, I was doing all of that. Then on the cruise ships, when I started working for Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Lines, that was in 2009. There was 147 ships. There was 2 people doing my job on each ship. And essentially we were teaching seminars every couple of days, hundreds of people. We had 4,000 guests a week. So we'd actually meet hundreds of people throughout the week. And the goal was to book them in for a one-to-one and then make sales. Now I very quickly rose to the top of the sales ladder. I was up there every month from the beginning, and with 300 people all over the world doing my job, I quickly rose to the top, and it was because of my ability to influence. And I used the word influence there, but I'd say if you went deeper or to simplify it, I would say it was because I could connect with people, read people, and I suppose read between the lines, understand what people are really saying, what they were really feeling behind what they just show up front. I think that's the biggest skill or the biggest advantage you can have when it comes to influencing people in real life. But one philosophy I learned throughout that sale, and that was just at the beginning of my sales experience, really. I was still young, 22, 23. And then I became an entrepreneur in 2010, and everything I did then for the next 7, 8 years was about sale up to this point, really, I guess. Even though now it's really just about more giving it out and having programs to connect with people. But back then it was very much sales, building businesses, selling different products, a lot of different things over the years. And one major business I built, I spoke all over the world, traveled and built a big team of over 15,000 people. So I know about sales. I've been training sales even back in 2012, 13. I was doing like sales training for people, selling aircraft to people, franchises, to insurance people. So I've been in sales, done high volume sales, monthly, hundreds of thousands per month in sales, probably millions overall over the years in sales, probably personally and what my clients have done, many millions actually. And one principle, the reason I'm telling you all that is there's one principle I think that's so important that I always know is a common theme throughout all of my sales. So when I was selling or when I was teaching people how to sell, one thing I noticed that always kind of came up that I always felt very important to me. I always felt it was an important energetic thing when it came to coaching, a philosophical thing when it came to selling, not coaching, when it came to selling. And that is, I always used to have this I'll sum it up in a sentence. I used to say this for years at all my events. Whenever I was doing a public sales talk, I was doing a talk and then there'd be sales at the end, I'd always say this sentence: I am not in the convincing business. And what I meant by that was I don't want to convince you of anything. And this is a very important philosophy when you're in sales, is that, first of all, a lot of times people kind of make mistakes or they make errors in sales because they feel pressure. They feel so much pressure. And that's why, what happens when people hit their targets, they actually end up selling way more. Because if they don't hit their targets, they're feeling pressure to hit the targets. So oftentimes when you hit your targets early in a month, you actually sell way more afterwards because the pressure's off. You're way more relaxed and people can feel that. And you're not kind of so attached to the outcome. So when you can get in this philosophy now of like, I'm not in the convincing business, it almost takes the pressure off. Because you're saying, listen, I don't want to convince, because when you feel you have to convince someone, there's a lot of weight on that, on you, on your shoulders. And you feel this pressure to perform. And like even the best athletes in the world, who have the best psychologists in the world, they have the whole structure from their teenagers, from children to teenagers to adults, they still feel pressure. Okay, there's NBA players who still airball free throws or even just miss free throws, okay, because of pressure. There's just people who are feeling pressure all the time. In the Olympics, there's people make mistakes because of the pressure. So pressure's always going to be there. And if those super athletes feel pressure and struggle with pressure at times, you can be sure the average person is going to feel pressure when it comes to making sales, hitting their targets, keeping their job, getting the commission, earning that income for their family, for their lifestyle, whatever it is. So there is pressure. So how can you get rid of that pressure? Well, one of the things is when you admit to yourself and you even put it out there to your clients or to your prospects, I'm not in a convincing business. So you're doing it for two people. You're doing it for you to take the pressure off so you don't feel like you have to convince people. And number two, you're doing it for the prospect. Because when they feel like you're not trying to sell them or convince them, they're more receptive. They're more open than to actually listen to what you're saying. So a lot of the times people don't buy from you because they're not actually listening because they feel like they're being sold to. Now, even though, we're buying, we like to buy. We all love to buy, but no one wants to feel like they're being sold. There's a nuance there. There's a difference there. So when you can help people remove that feeling of they're being sold to, now they're actually more relaxed. You'll see their body language shift, and they're actually going to be way more attentive, way more receptive to you and what you're selling. So again, you takes the pressure off you. I'm not in a convincing business. Now you're like, Mike, what business are you in? Well, what I learned from one of my mentors, Eric Worre, he said it beautifully. He said, we're into education and understanding. Okay, so my goal is education and understanding. And that's something I used for years. And I still use it because it's true. Because when your goal is to help people understand, to educate them what you do, to help them understand how it will benefit them, that's a beautiful thing. And that's what real business should be about. And that's what your business should be about, is how can I educate people to understand what it is I do and how it will benefit them? That's a total different energy than I'm going to convince you or persuade you. Now, for sure, there's persuasion techniques and we use that word and we need that word sometimes. But as a general philosophy, as a rule overall, you don't want to convince people to do something because there's no integrity in that, first of all. It's very difficult. Like when you make 6-7 figures from sales, you want to feel good about it. Even if it's 5 figures, you want to feel good about it. You want to feel like, oh, I convinced all those people to buy from me. And now, they didn't really need it, but I convinced them. That's the wrong energy. That's a whole other karma you don't want. So there's so many benefits to I'm not in the convincing business. And that was my line. I came up with that years ago. That's what I always said. I'm not in the convincing business. I don't want to convince you. And a lot of people I coached, a lot of people I led in my team, they all used that and they got crazy results. Because as soon as you say it, people shift. They're way more relaxed. They're way more easygoing, way more receptive. And it just gives you a chance to get heard. It gives you a chance to really get the information across. Okay, and it's a beautiful feeling when you see your prospect relax and you can build that rapport better then, because now it's like the elephant in the room, right? As I said, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold to. So I want you to start using that philosophy. Let me know if you use that. Let me know if you're in sales in the comments and you're going to use it. I am not in the convincing business. My goal is to educate and to help you understand what it is we do. And if it's a good fit, we'll talk about it. And that's the other thing. Don't be afraid to say, yeah, if it's a good fit, we will decide together if it's a good fit. Okay, so let me hear about you. I'll tell you what I do, and then we will decide together. Because you have to own the fact that you are there to sell something. And you might not want to call it sell something, but you're there to provide a service or to provide values through a product. So at the end of the day, there is an exchange, and you should be okay with that, to say, it's good for me, it's good for you, everybody wins, it's good for the economy. As Marshall Silver says, it's good for you, good for me, good for the economy, everybody wins. So don't be in denial of that, but that's a whole different video. So I'm not in the convincing business. That's your magic line for sales. That's the one line that can change the game for you and your business. And I promise you, if you start, I didn't even have that back on the ships, but I had that way of communicating with people, a relaxed way. Okay, an easygoing, focusing on the people, focusing on the relationship, building the connection, and then seeing what was behind the curtain. Like I teach my clients, like my students on the entrepreneur code now, talking about, people have on the front of the stage, when the curtain goes up, and then they have behind the curtain. And the best salespeople are the best influencers. I'm talking real life influencers, not IG influencers, real life. They can read what's going on behind the curtain, what's going on backstage in the mind of the people, okay, in the emotions of the people. That's the key to being a master of sales, a master of influence. Okay, so read the people, feel the people, see the people, and then just, again, take the pressure off yourself. Make it about education, make it about understanding, and then your business will transform, your sales will transform. And let me know if you use it in the comments. Let me know if you're gonna, and let me know if you do and what result is. I promise you, you'll feel a shift in your energy. They'll feel a shift. I'm excited to see the results from you trying this. And make sure you say, I got that from Aidan O'Brien. I got that from Aidan O'Brien. Okay, make sure you give that, you drop my name there for that. And if you don't do that, you better like and subscribe right now. And if you know someone in sales, you know someone who wants to, you know, selling a product or just became an entrepreneur, send them this video because it's good for them. It's good for me. It's good for you for doing the right thing. It's good for everybody. Let's do this thing. See you in the next video. Peace.